Welcome, everybody, to the Rytown Park Commission meeting of May 20th, 2025. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I note that Mayor Cohen and Mayor Klein have requested permission and received permission to appear via Zoom. We have a full quorum in person, so we can begin the meeting. Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lindsay Jackson. Here. Commissioner Luis Marino.
Here.
Commissioner Emily Hurd. Here. Commissioner Josh Cohn. Here. Commissioner Jason Klein. Here. President Zuckerman.
Here. Adoption of minutes of April 15th, 2025. If there are no additions or corrections, may I have a motion and a second?
I'll give you a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
A little delay there. Public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have any comments? Then Jason will speak for a moment on geese. Any comments from the public? If not,
I can just very, very quickly say that I do get complaints about the geese. A couple of my neighbors who are often in the park, especially with their dogs, have been different from John Linder, who came to the meeting maybe a month ago.
Diana, introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry, Diana Page, Friends of Rytown Park, and a neighbor of the park as well. So I have gotten a few neighbors that have said that their dogs, kind of eat the goose poop and it's, makes them sick and whatever. So I know there's renewed or still interest in seeing that problem resolved.
All right, thank you. Jason, you had a brief report on your investigation.
Sure. So I'll be very brief, but so I enlisted the help of someone I know who is an expert on geese, and we went over maybe I forget exactly when it was, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. We went over to the park and took a walk around, and it was interesting because we only observed 2 geese the entire time we were there. So, but in speaking to staff, it sounds like there are problems at other times of year. So we started looking just at areas where we thought the geese might be, and spoke to some staff there just to try and get a sense of what the geese habits were. So, our plan is to revisit the park at a time when there may be more geese present, to be able to observe their visits and be able to make some recommendations on what can be done to help limit what everyone is seeing there.
Right. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, sure.
I have been hearing complaints about the geese poop as well. I think I see them a lot in the pond, and then I don't know what they're doing, flying over, and who knows. But certainly, I think it's something that I'm hearing about. I would be in favor of the commission taking some kind of action. Jason, once you make some recommendations to deal with it.
We'll have to wait for the recommendations because whoever Jason is talking to is an expert, and will be able to recommend.
Great.
Okay. We have a couple of community events. Debbie, you want to go over these? The community conversation, the Pride flyer, and the Juneteenth.
Yes. So we have coming up our annual community conversation will be 2 Saturdays from now, I think. Saturday, May 31st from 10 o'clock to noon under the pavilions at Rytown Park. We have a filling agenda. I encourage all stakeholders to come to the meeting, to participate, to have that conversation. We will be receiving a presentation from our environmental engineers who have started a study on resiliency for Wright Town Park with a grant from all of a sudden I've drawn a blank. Not Save the Sound, it's Sea Grant. And we have I'm hoping a presentation from the Friends of Wright Town Park about their project, and we have a number of key resolutions also on the agenda. So please come out and be with us.
And that will also be scheduled as a special meeting, so we will conduct, hopefully we will have a quorum of the commission, and we'll conduct other business with resolutions, et cetera. And we will, at that meeting, probably cancel the June 17th meeting, because we're having this meeting and that meeting, and unless it's an emergency. Just alerting you going forward.
10 to 12? What?
The
Yes,
community
yes, the
conversation, sorry.
community conversation is 10 to 12.
Okay, great. We can, the 31st.
And following that,
Following that, later that very same day, in the very same place, will be the town's annual Pride celebration. It starts at 3 p.m. with an arts festival in one of the pavilions and a Pride fair with tablers in the other pavilion. Our flag raising will be at 6 p.m., after which a very brief program with speakers. We will parade up to a mural that has been painted by the community's young people, which is going to be mounted just south of the North Gate area. And once that is unveiled, we will have a beach party until dusk. So everyone is most welcome to come and celebrate.
thank you.
And I am also giving an early plug to the town's annual Juneteenth celebration this year. This will be on June 21st in Rise Historic African American Cemetery. This will be a combination of oral histories presented by young people from our community, and also a service project. In addition, we will have a brief ceremony, and our keynote speaker is County Executive Ken Jenkins. So please sign up, volunteer, come and join us.
Thank you. Any questions about any of these events? Now we have a presentation from the Rye Tri-Club, the Rye Beach Challenge proposal. My friend Sue Klein, okay. This is not just the Rye Tri-Club, it's also the
And the Lighthouse
Lighthouse.
Swim is also. Hi, my name is Debbie Regals, and I'll give you just a little bit of background to know how this came to be. Back for 9 years, I was the race manager for Westchester Triathlon, and for many years, I've been involved in the community, the triathlon community.
An event in which I have participated as
I
well.
had a
so-
feeling, I did hear about that, and I hope you enjoyed it. This was back in, years ago, 2014 was the last year that I was a race manager. So I want to give back. I wanted to give back to the community, the triathlon community, and I joined the Rye Tri-Club. And my role is to help with events. And we came up with the idea of doing some sort of swim, run, maybe a splash and dash type of event. However, after spending time in Rye Town Park and around on the beach and in the park, we decided we want to do something a little different. We want to keep it tight and we want to keep it organized, and we want to involve as few people, counties, whatnot, as possible, and we want it to be as safe as possible. So before we came up with the idea to map this out, we talked to Sue from the Lighthouse Swim, because they have so much knowledge when it comes to creating a swim event. So we're partnering, and we are both 501c organizations. So this is an event for the community to raise awareness, to raise funds for our charities. The event itself, we propose is to do a swim event and also a swim run event. They have 3 options. You could do a half-mile swim and out and back. You could do a mile swim where you go out and back, run a little bit on the beach, walk on the beach, whatever you want to do if you're not a runner. Get back in and do the same swim again. So that's your mile swim. Or you could do the half-mile swim, the out and back. Get out, put your sneakers on, and do a very short run, just under a mile, around within the compound, within Ride Town Park. And it's a little bit different than normal runs because it's on grass or, you know, it's a little over hill, whatever. You know, it's not smooth and flat like other races that take place in Rye. So it's around Rye Town Park, then you go back to the beach, you take off your shoes before you get to the beach, and then you do that half-mile swim again, and you finish on the beach. Both of our organizations are well aware of how to equip an event like this and what we would need in terms of volunteers and kayakers and paddleboarders and what we would need for safety and in terms of marking everything off. I'm not sure how much detail I need to go into it right now. I could tap dance for a song and dance as well. But you're in good hands because we have a great working relationship with Russ. I actually got to work with Russ for all those years that I was doing Westchester Triathlon. And if you have any questions before I keep talking.
So as I read the letter that Sue sent, that is, there are 3 different possible events, and you can choose it.
You can choose, exactly.
And
You choose one.
Choose one.
So this way, people of all levels of athletic abilities, of swimming abilities, or running can partake.
and the out and back is, based on that distance, it seems to me that's about out to the jetty and back, seems to be about.
That's not where we're gonna have, but yes, it's about that.
Well, we are now. We're on beach two. We're gonna change it to Vernon Max.
Sue,
Could
You
you
wanna-
speak into the microphone, please?
LTK, nice to know. So the plan for the swim is we would use beach two. That's the one furthest away from
Dearborn.
Dearborn. The reason for that is, we need to use the exit by hopefully by the guardhouse with Russ's permission, so that they can put on their sneakers, run out, run around the park, and run back. So I'm not sure if it would be out to the jetty, because we could do more of like a, 3-sided square, you know, not leaving out the run part for the miler on the beach.
Right, because it's about 500 yards out to the jetty, depending on the tide. Right?
It's about right out to the Whitewood,
Yeah,
which is
which is past the jetty, yeah. So that's the approximate distance. All right. So,
And we would, you know, lifeguards, we would have
Do we-
everyone out there.
yeah, you have lifeguards, you have paddle boarders, swim angels.
We're going to have swim angels, correct.
Okay.
And
So,
I'm sorry.
Is it your anticipation that you would be using Rye Town Parks lifeguards at any point?
Well,
If they're for hire.
if they're for hire, right, because I know the hours are not their normal hours, but I'm assuming we could put it out there to the lifeguards, seeing if they would be available, we could hire them.
You could not hire them because they would be working for us,
Oh,
but we could make an arrangement.
okay.
Okay, we also realize that we have to contact whatever water, the marine, whatever, City Police Department to also use the water.
But you're not running on their streets.
No.
So we don't
we're
need
staying
any-
in- we're staying
We don't
in
need
the
any
park.
police to close roads or anything
Correct.
like that. Okay. All right. Any questions?
No, I'm just reading the letter. It seems like a great event. That's the date, it's gonna be July 19th.
19.
Should be
I have
warm.
one question. Gary, will you be the first to sign up?
I
Well,
might.
it depends what's the cost. he said.
What day is it?
July 19th.
What day of the week?
Saturday morning.
Saturday.
You go to services?
Well, no, it's,
It sounds like
I guess I can't go on my bike that day.
Swimming's more
After.
important. We see you out there all the time, so we know you love to swim.
Okay.
We hope to be done with cleanup by noon, so you'll be done, you'll be in and
Yeah,
out.
but by the
keep your
time
vote.
most of the people come.
Right.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Josh?
I have two concerns. One is safety and the other is insurance. And
So I've already been in touch.
safety has been mentioned, and I know will require insurance, but I would like to know that park staff is looking over the number of lifeguards and the like to make sure that we feel as comfortable as the event organizers do.
Oh, we will keep you updated as we get closer with our numbers and also where we are in terms of how many lifeguards we propose to have, and if you feel comfortable with that, if you think we need more. And Sue has been in touch with the insurance companies for our insurance.
You've been briefed on the parks insurance requirements?
Not yet. The broker that I'm dealing with has dealt with the county before and all these others. It's, we will make sure that we meet all the insurance requirements. Just give me what you need and the limits.
Yeah, I'll give them the information on the additionally insured people, the entities that need to be additionally insured, but you can rest assured that between the three of us, we have an immense amount of experience in running these type of events, and we know exactly how many on-water assets that we'll need and what kind of permissions and approvals that we'll need.
Okay. So I guess we just need a motion and a second to agree to go forward with the event.
I'll give you a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The water should be warm enough for me by then. Next item is a presentation regarding precision safe sidewalks. Oh, Debbie went out. I don't know why we have that on the screen. That's,
Well, I went to check, I bet, just to see if we could get that up there.
Precision has their own presentation, so. That's regarding the contract. Oh, hold on, Colt. Debbie, are you ready? Do we need this up here? I think he has his own.
We don't, I'm gonna we're gonna have him transfer onto the screen so that you can see it. I think we're gonna do that. Well, please go ahead and start.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who have not met me yet, my name is Colt. I'm the Business Development Manager with Precision Safe Sidewalks, specifically the New York State Territory. I understand you guys like to keep a pretty tight agenda, and I only have about 10 minutes, so I will dive right into it. I do have a video that I would like to show everyone. It's only about a minute long that kind of just explains our repair process in detail. It is, of course, specifically designed to save you money versus ripping out the sidewalk and replacing them. So let me just share my screen quickly. I will click around this. There's only about 2 sections that are, the important stuff, and then I'll move right into the proposal.
To achieve compliance, we measure the trip hazard, calculate a smooth, gentle slope, and mark the cut.
Can we get it on here?
Once the cut is marked, rather than grinding, we use our patented equipment to surgically cut the necessary concrete, eliminating the trip hazard. This precision concrete cutting technician removed a trip hazard measuring 1.5 inches high and 5 feet in length in only 18 minutes. On average, we have a cost savings of 80% compared to alternative methods. And we can remove up to 50 hazards per technician per day without closing sidewalks, using heavy equipment, or disrupting residents. With precision concrete cutting, you can stretch your budget, cover more area, all while increasing safety. Precision concrete cutting uses proprietary technology and resources to ensure the highest quality and detail. Precision Concrete Cutting's environmentally friendly solution is a truly reduce, reuse, and recycle approach. Keep the sidewalk, reduce the waste and impact of the repair, and recycle the concrete removed. In addition to being ADA compliant,
So that last really snippet there is just a good example of removing the concrete. So I can send this off to you guys afterwards if you do want to see the entire video or if you have any follow-up questions. For the sake of time, I'll stop there and jump right into the Rye-Town Park proposal. Oops, did not mean to stop sharing, my apologies. I do have a bad habit of being a little fast, so if anybody needs to slow me down at any time, feel free. So this is the proposal that we put together for Rye-Town Park. We did identify 133 sidewalk trip and fall hazards at the town park, specifically the outer sidewalks that surround the park. 32 linear feet of curb hazards at point of egress. That just essentially means where somebody could potentially be stepping over that to get into their vehicle. And we can repair all of those for just under $20,000, $19,384. 17,944 of that is sidewalks, and the curb is the 1,440. It is a very quick repair process with us. We can get the entire project done in only two work days with 3 technicians, so pretty quick in and out. There's no real need to close the entirety of the sidewalks. You can still kind of, get in and out of the park while we're making the repair. So a total shutdown is not really necessary. We identify approximately 1,600 square that cannot be repaired using our process, and we do have hazard examples of that in this proposal as well. So we estimate using our process that you'll save about $50,000 versus traditional demolition replacement. We got that number. Our average square foot, I believe, in this project was about $5. We assume about $15 for demolition replacement, so that's where that number comes from. Obviously, if your square footage cost is more like $20, that would be a little bit higher. If it's a little bit less than that, that would be a little bit lower, but I did just want to give you an idea of where exactly that number does come from. We have a hazard map here, so you have an idea of what exactly we did identify and exactly where it is. As you can see, we were kind of tasked with doing the outer sidewalk surrounding the park, so that's primarily what you see here. Also, I do remember in our previous meeting that I know this section of sidewalk was kind of 50-50, whether or not you did want to rip it out and replace it. So if that is the decision you come with, that
Section you're,
get out of it.
can you see this section that it's referring
It's
to?
Rye Beach Avenue, I believe.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Why can't we get this up on here?
We are having a technical challenge that the person who knows how to do it isn't here.
Am I good to continue? I don't.
Yes,
wanna make sure.
please, thank you.
Good. Was that a yes? Sorry.
Yes.
I was struggling to hear.
Yes, please continue.
Okay, great.
If you could make that as large as possible, that would be great.
Bigger? Okay, absolutely.
That's better, thank you.
Great. So yeah, just while I'm here, the yellow pins you see are the smaller hazards, 1/4 inch to 1/2 to 1/2 inch. The blue pins are 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and then you have the bigger trip and fall hazards, which are the red pins. Those are 1 inch to 2.5 inches. So we do break this down by hazard class, just in case, you only want to do the big stuff, or you only have X amount of dollars for your budget. So that's why you'll kind of see here, just why we break those down separately. Our company minimum to mobilize, I did want to point out, is $5,000, so I just wanted to point that out. As mentioned, there was 32 linear feet of curb that we did also identify for $1,440. If you do add these up, it does come in at slightly over $19,384, and the reason being is I think we charge slightly more for if you choose to pick and choose. I think it's about 3% here, whereas if you do decide just to do the entire project, you do save that, I think, 3%. So it's just incentive to approve the entire project. That's why there's a difference there in pricing. So our average price to square foot is $5.32, like I mentioned, versus the alternative. Oh, it does look like I did use $20 here. I apologize. I believe I said 15 earlier. But so our cost per square foot is $532 versus our estimated of $20. Again, estimated savings about $50,000, and the repair schedule would only be about 2 or 3 days. Our repair specifications here, I won't spend too much time here. You guys did just see the video kind of explaining exactly how it's done. So I don't, for the sake of time, I'll go through this. We are a U.S. Green Building Council member, so we do track green savings versus demolition replacement, so estimated natural resources saved, fossil fuels saved, and estimated greenhouse emissions avoided as well.
How does the repaired sidewalk hold up afterwards?
That's a great question. So 97% of the time it will hold up for the duration of the life of the panel. I know in some instances, if you do have a tree root right next to a sidewalk that we do repair that's still kind of in its growing stages, it could potentially move that sidewalk panel again, but you know, like I said, 97% of the time we don't see that happening. So it's a pretty strong repair, for lack of a better word.
So I guess the question, Debbie, what's the condition of the panels and how long do we intend to keep them? To kind of.
I think the condition of each panel, each set of panels is different, obviously, and actually one of the things that Precision did was do together with Vic Federico, they did a step-by-step analysis of all of the panels around the circumference of the park. So that that actually explained the 3 different stages, levels of harm or damage. Up until now, what we've tried to do is balance our budget constraints and the needs of upkeep on the sidewalks. So we've set ourselves $10,000 a year, and we get as much as we can out of that $10,000 by picking the worst panels and then replacing them. So we don't have an expected life for the entire.
Do you have a schedule for replacement of panel? Are we going to be replacing panels that, you know, need to be replaced 3 years down the road? Or are we talking about panels that will last 5 years down the road?
You know, I haven't measured it that way, so we can certainly ask Vic Federico to weigh in on the expected life of the panels.
Because that would definitely impact sort of the longevity of the work being done with these.
I completely agree. It's been as you've been involved with Wright Town Park for a long time, so we tend to let things go until they absolutely have to be addressed, and I expect, and what I've been observing about the sidewalks is the same thing goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if you're talking about $20,000 for panels that, you know, are gonna last us for years, that's one thing. If we're talking about panels that we're gonna eventually have to rip out in the next year or two.
Those panels are not on this fixed list.
Okay.
Right, the panels that are on the, yeah, we can do something about this list, are included in this proposal. There are a number of panels that Precision said, these have to be ripped up and replaced. We can't fix those. And my suggestion is that we look at, let's get a lot of bang for our buck with this proposal, get the tripping hazards taken care of, and then we will, in subsequent years, replace.
So this is in addition to our annual maintenance, or is this for this year and then subsequent years we will proceed with the annual maintenance as we have in the past?
Correct.
Okay. Let me correct something. I don't think we used the $10,000 last year. Am I correct?
You are correct. We didn't.
We didn't use it. So technically we could have the $10,000 from last year plus the $10,000 for this year, and do the, you know, obviously the 19,000+. I'd also like to recall that about 2 years ago, we made an application to replace all the sidewalks with a grant from the Department of Transportation, which we didn't get, and that estimated cost was $800,000. So that's what it would cost to replace everything in 2-year-old dollars. So this is a methodology for us to cure the immediate hazards that are facing us, and it's our choice, which we're not going to make tonight. It will be on the agenda after further discussion as part of the resolutions at the community conversation, to enter into a contract for whatever we determine would be the best way to do it. But obviously, those sidewalks need a lot of work, but to do it with this method, and in the slide Debbie had up there previously, and we spoke about it, the two past sidewalk repair projects, when we did it, repair sidewalks along with the ramps, and we had them mobilized on site already, it was $17.50 a square foot. When we did our last capital project, it was $19.94 a square foot. And this proposal is $5.32 a square foot. So assuming, you know, that this project works and completes its goal, this is far less expensive. It's, you know, a quarter of what the charge to rip up the concrete and replace it would be. So that's a decision we have to make.
Well, to be fair, the work for the complete replacement is a little bit different than the work that's being proposed here.
Oh, definitely,
So,
definitely.
I mean, that would
Which we would not,
contribute to a large
well, we wouldn't,
portion
we
of the price
wouldn't,
differential.
we, you know, we wouldn't do that without a major grant. And the grant that we were looking at, I think it required a 20% match. I'm not sure, 20%.
The Department of Transportation
Yeah.
grant? I don't remember.
As we talk about that area, I think it was also true that we were going to be ripping up sidewalk that didn't need to be ripped up.
Yeah,
That is, we were going to do everything, and so everything would go.
that is,
But it wasn't the case that everything actually needed to be ripped up.
right. Well, you're absolutely correct, Josh. But that was a full replacement. This is obviously of a much smaller scale.
Can
and
I
it's-
ask, Colt, can you tell us anything about the methodology? I'm thinking, well, gee, you must use phasers or magic, or what do you do, and is it environmentally safe?
Yes, of course. It is a green-friendly solution. I can definitely send you the full video that I had just shown you a snippet of. In short, it's a horizontal saw cut, and yeah, ultimately we're removing the high side of the sidewalk and creating an ADA compliant slope and eliminating the tripping hazard. If that answers your question.
Yeah, so it sounds as if you're using a saw where perhaps some other.
Correct.
Some others would use a grinder.
Correct, yes. That is exactly the difference that we offer than the alternative of that and, of course, demolition replacement.
So if you cut away at the depth of the concrete, if you go back to the diagram. Yeah, so if you cut away, or even the diagram, that diagram, if you cut away at the depth of the concrete, wouldn't you kind of disrupt to some extent the integrity of the actual panel?
That's a great question. So we actually had a third-party engineering firm study this, and we have found that we can cut, given the sidewalk panels are 4 inches thick. Can you confirm quickly if that's accurate? If you know.
Vic, do you have any idea?
Some should be more than 4 inches.
I would have said 5, Colt.
Okay, great.
5
So that's even better. So what we had studied was for a 4-inch pour, we can cut 2.5 inches, and it'll still hold 1,900 pounds of poundage over top. So if you do need to go in, if you guys plow those with a certain plow in the wintertime, it's not going to crack and deteriorate any further. It'll hold that amount of weight and
For how much, for how long? In perpetuity?
That is always up, that's always up in the air. It always depends. We have repairs that we've made in North Carolina that are good for 18 years now. We have some repairs, like I said, if it's next to a tree that was really new, the tree canopy with some trees, you've probably seen the roots are crazy. They go really far. If it's a real new tree that's still going to have 5-10 years worth of growth, yes, there is definitely a chance for that to heave up again. But we can probably come in and even cut that 2 or 3 times before it gets to the point where we get that demolition replacement cost, if that makes sense. So it can happen, but 97% of the time it does not.
And Debbie, just, if we take into consideration that we have the 10,000 from this year, or from the previous year, as well as the 10,000 from this year, as discussed.
Yeah, that's certainly for the park commission to consider. Yes.
Correct. And what needs to be replaced, what's immediately
Like
in
the
need?
most important stuff.
Correct.
Right.
Could we kind of get a price differential on that too, so we can determine where the money's better spent if we're taking care of what's needed with the full replacement, or what's in dire need of attention with the full replacement, as opposed to using this? That would be an,
What do you mean full replacement? You mean the full,
so in essence, the slabs that need to be replaced this year, if we take the $20,000 as opposed to investing in this, I would like to see a cost estimate for if we were to replace those slabs.
Can you rephrase your question? I just want to make sure
So-
I understand it clearly.
So in essence, you said that there are a number of slabs that are in immediate repair, and that we have a year by year, sort of, we're gonna be replacing them year by year. If we can take a look at what needs to be replaced immediately, if we were to forget this plan and go with replacing it as we have in the past, what slabs need to be replaced and what that cost is, the full replacement versus this repair.
Right, so, the last time we did this, we paid roughly $20 a square foot. We replaced 250 square feet. That's as far as, our money took us. Now it's 2025. We would have to RFP it and to understand what our new cost is.
But it would be somewhere in that neighborhood,
Yes,
accounting, say, for inflation.
exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so that's another consideration.
basically what you're saying, what you're suggesting we do is replace fewer square feet at a higher cost, as opposed to, this is just designed to remove the tripping hazards.
Yes, no, I'm just saying as a fiduciary of the park, in order to make a informed decision, I wanted to compare the cost of operating as usual with the full replacement,
Okay.
assuming that the longevity of those panels will be longer versus taking this measure.
Yeah, I feel like this has been very confusing to me, because I was remembering our plan that we put in place a couple of years ago to do, and I thought it was 15,000, but apparently it was 10, sidewalk repair, and we didn't do it last year, I think because we had the grant out there and we were waiting to see if we got it or not. Was that part of why we didn't do? Okay.
Yes.
So, so I agree with Lindsay. I would also like to know, I would love to be able to see the map up closer that he, Colt has created. And also just curious what the difference is between a quarter to a half inch hazard as opposed to a half to a 1 inch hazard. I mean, are there studies about liability or trip issues depending on how big of the hazard is? A quarter inch seems really small.
So the reason we do a quarter inch is because that's technically where ADA compliance, anything over 3/8 of an inch is technically non-ADA compliant, and you may or may not be some sort of liability tied to that if somebody trips and falls. So that's why we include those. We do have hazard pictures here showing hopefully that just examples of the bigger stuff here. So I'll zoom in even more. These are the bigger issues, the 1 inch to 2.5 inches. You can see they're kind of bigger trip and fall hazards. They're pretty clear. So those are the bigger ones there. Here's a really big one here. And we also have the smaller ones here. You see the 1/2 inch to 1 inch, a little bit smaller, still a tripping hazard. And then, we have the really small stuff, which is the 1/4 inch, which it actually looks like is not included here. But yeah, that's a great question. And that's, kind of why we give you the ability to pick and choose what you do want to do, because we understand if you might want to pass on the small stuff for now and only address the larger hazards.
So it would be safe to assume that the 1/4 inch hazards are negligible or inconsequential at this point.
Well, it sounds like, I don't know why you don't start at 3/8 of an inch if that's what the ADA compliance is, because it looks like you have one category that includes a 1/4 to a 1/2. So it's definitely more
Yeah.
Conservative than ADA requirements.
Yeah. But also, Emily, that's the smallest price number. That's only $3,600
Right.
compared to the next one, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, which is over $10,000, and the largest is about $5,000. So technically, you can get all the larger ones done for $15,000, but if you add in the other 3,600, you get all of them done.
Sure, no, I understand.
So
But also we have to weigh that against the long-term needs for sidewalk repair and whether we're spending this money
well, we could
that
we-
can be used in the future to replace panels. Or used in
one of
the
pro-
present to replace panels that
the-
won't
the-
need to be addressed.
The problem that I have with that is we really should be going after the trip hazards, which, forgetting the 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, just the 1/2 inch and above comes out to be in the $15,000 range. So that's the immediate danger, as opposed to replacing full panels at, let's say, $20 a square foot, which we would get fewer, but we would not be addressing the hazard issues. We'd be addressing other issues that are necessary, but not those issues. But I think, Debbie, what we could do is look and see, because Colt mentioned that there are some panels that need to be totally replaced. Am I correct, Colt?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I have a hazard map here that shows that as well, and also some
So we
examples.
should look at that and see what the cost is to replace those compared to this. And if those are not hazards, consider them for the next series and attend to these first, which are immediate hazards.
Do you do just panel repair, Cole, or no?
We only remove material. We don't do any repouring or replacing, no.
Go ahead,
Just
Louis.
a question. This is great. If we need to replace something like immediately, right, a lot of hazardous material, sidewalks, this will be only one-time fee, and you will not have that issue for years, obviously, and he's right. I mean, if the tree is gonna grow up again, we're gonna have the same issue. If the tree doesn't grow anymore, we'll be perfectly fine. But this will prevent all the unsafe sidewalks we have, the one that's high and low especially. So this is good for that, and then the other ones is a long-term solution, like you say, to invest it right. So this is all, to me, if we can spend the money just to have all those headaches out of our heads, it would be great. You know what's gonna happen when people walk and fall, so we'll pay more money.
Well, those things up on the screen
Right.
now, those things also have to be replaced,
Oh, those,
especially the one on the right.
Yes.
So those, if I'm understanding correctly, the ones that absolutely have to be replaced are not calculated into this $20,000.
That's correct.
That is
So then
correct.
we still have, once we spend this $20,000 to fix it, we still have the liability of those that have to be replaced, and that'll remain based on our budget.
Unless it's the park commission's decision to address them immediately, yeah.
Well, I think that what we should do,
So I'm sorry, I'm just,
I know what you're saying. I think what we should do is get the list of all of these. I'm pointing for the audience to see, I don't know if the audience sees, of those that are
The lost cause,
the ones that he recommends demolish and replacement, get a list of those and get an estimate.
put it out to bid.
yeah.
And let's get an estimate first, because I don't know if the commission will have to make a decision. If there are enough of these that it's gonna cost us $60,000 for that, that's a different issue than doing the precision safe sidewalks. And maybe the answer is a combination of both. But we have to make that decision, and I think we should do that and maybe get that ready for the next meeting so that we can act on it and see where we go.
Because, and again,
Suggest that safety be our guide.
I-
I don't know if all these green marks that indicate the need for replacement also indicate that it's an unsafe sidewalk. And judging from the pictures, that certainly may be the case. But I'd like safety to be our primary concern.
I'm
I
also,
agree, Josh, I agree
One thing I
100%
do wanna point
with you.
out, our criteria is pretty much just cracking. If it's if it's cracked beyond a certain scope, and we just kind of recommend you would replace it. It doesn't necessarily mean there is a tripping hazard there, like you kind of see here. This one definitely looks like there might be, but there is a lot of instances here probably where there's not necessarily a tripping hazard. It just could be a, beat up and kind of deteriorating panel. So I did just want to point that out as well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll go forward. Colt, thank you. Unless you have other questions, we'll move on. Colt, thank you very much for the presentation. And we'll,
Great. I will definitely, I believe, some other people have a copy of this, so feel free, to send it around, and if anybody has any questions.
yeah, I mean, we could, Debbie, we have the full video, right?
I believe so. I will send it over to, Ruby right after this, just to make sure. I believe she
Yeah,
does have it though.
and then that video could be sent to each of us to view on our computers
Absolutely.
as a follow-up. And then,
Along with the proposal.
and the second step is to look at the rest of the concrete to see which of those that we just viewed on the screen, the commission would deem appropriate to do a complete replacement, and at what cost.
I mean, I'm just speaking as a fiduciary of the park. I want to protect the initial capital investment, the money we're investing into the sidewalk and the longevity of it, but also from litigation and try to mitigate any potential for that as well. So I'm trying to figure out where we have a certain pot of money. How do we protect ourselves? How do we protect the park?
And I think we need to be guided exactly by what Josh said, is to attack the safety conditions first. We'll have to have our staff review that and pick out which are the ones that are
Vic.
that are necessary.
I did, I walked that sidewalk many times, and yes, you have very valuable questions. The idea of doing slabs, the next slab might have a minor crack in it. So in a year or two, then it's gonna be that slab. In a year or two, it'll be the next slab. So, I mean, if you walk Rye Beach Avenue, pretty much that whole sidewalk has to be done. So, I agree with Mayor Cohen on let's take care of the trip hazards right now while we can. Just my recommendation.
But now, and Vic, just to kind of, and I don't want to put you on the hot seat, but just as far as the trip hazards, if we were to go forward with this plan, that would not eliminate all of the trip hazards, correct?
Not for the amount of money, no.
Okay.
It would not eliminate all of them,
Right.
but it would eliminate the vast majority of
What
them.
about the most egregious ones? That's sort of
That would be
my,
included, yes.
Yes.
so the most egregious or
The worst ones.
the
Yeah.
worst one.
Right, because if
Worst
you're
trip
looking at
hazards.
tripping hazards, right, you're looking at what differential in height that is gonna trip people, even the curbs, right? We're addressing those. And for just slightly under $20,000, we will address all of those. It won't address the sidewalks like the picture we showed you with that are all cracks that are not necessarily tripping hazards. They're uneven, they're cracked, they're ugly, there's no repairing it. You have to pull it out and
You
take
have to pull the whole
But
thing
they're
out.
not tripping hazards, those?
Not necessarily.
Compares with the other one that's a couple of inches off the ground.
That's right,
Yeah.
compared.
Yes.
That's what I
Correct.
said, and I'm gonna repeat again for the last one. This is great, and you will save a lot of headaches.
Yeah.
Just, and safety first, my opinion.
Thank you.
I mean, I know it's $20,000, sounds like a lot of money, but if you can solve a lot of headaches, it's worth, why investment?
Yeah, especially the fact that if somebody falls and
Absolutely.
sues us
That's
and our
over 20,000.
insurance rates go up again. I mean, they went up when that railing on the seawall fell and hit that woman a couple of years ago, our insurance rate went up like 9%.
Year over year, we've had several years of annual 9% increases.
Well, I think we'll all look
We'll
at the
agree.
maps and, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody agrees generally, but we're not gonna vote tonight, right?
We're not voting
So I
tonight.
vote we move on.
Absolutely.
That was my intention. Colt, again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, we have waiver requests from two organizations, the first of which is the Friends of Rye Town Park. Diana, you want to talk on this?
Sure. So I'm Diana Page, Friends of Town Park. So you may have heard the good news. We have a $200,000 challenge grant opportunity from Ed and Sue Wackenheim toward our tower building restoration work. So that was a nice Mother's Day gift from them. So we have to raise $200,000 by June 30th in order to receive $200,000 match from them to put toward the tower building exterior restoration and the wall from the tower building to Dearborn. We just crossed the $100,000 threshold. Yay for us. So $100,000, thank you, in the bank, and $100,000 to go in a really short amount of time. This is a lot of money for us to raise as an organization. We don't normally make this kind of money in our annual appeals. So we are in an all-out sprint. We are using every avenue we can, and so toward that goal, we want to put together a little gathering, maybe a big one, on June 25th to try to, have a fundraiser in the park at the pavilions. We'd like to have the pavilions, the use of the pavilions for free, and also offer our ticket buyers free parking because we want them to be as generous as they can to help us get our goal. So we get the extra $200,000. It's a lot of money for us. So, and for the park ultimately. So that's our request.
Well, I just want to say that since I've been a member of the Rye community and a member of the Rye Town Park Commission, how to fix up the exterior of the tower building has been sort of an insurmountable dilemma that we've all just sort of banged our heads against the wall thinking about. And it's just incredible, Diana, that you've been able to do this. This is more money than we contemplate spending through taxpayer capital projects, and it's incredible. Thank you so much for all the work that you've done, because you are doing incredible things to the park.
It's a team effort. Chris is here too from the Friends Board.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
It's a team effort. We're excited about it. We had a great meeting with Gary Gianfrancesco at the park with our stucco guy and the stucco manufacturer and the supplier. So we all walked through the process for the exterior of the building. We're all happy with it. So we're ready to go as soon as we sort of get this, underway.
Awesome.
It's great. extra money will allow us to do some extra work as well, so.
Diana, thank you so much. I know, because I've been working with you, how much work you're putting into this. And, you know, we're hoping that this really comes to fruition. It's a great project. And just as an aside, we're looking for grants. I don't know if they're available, to figure out, to get somebody to help us study what we can use the building to repurpose the building. It's one thing to do the exterior. It's another thing to try to figure out what we're going to do with it. Once it's beautiful on the outside, to have the building used purposely. And I don't know if there are grants available, but we're going to look for that, to do a study to find out what we can do.
I mean, one immediate thing that jumps out is that room on the second floor is very beautiful. You know, not now, but it would be. And, you know, we could, I mean, I think when we met, Russ was in that meeting with Ed and Sue when they came to the park to meet us, and we took them upstairs. And that's sort of, to me, the next logical step. So I would like to fix the exterior first, because it's an eyesore, and it also preserves the building to have that sort of envelope sealed. But to me, a next logical step would be to at least restore that community room on the second floor as a next step. I think there are questions about whether that involves, you know, having to put an elevator in the building and fix bathrooms and do all kinds of things. You know, Gary is helpful, Gary G is helpful with understanding that scope of work. But I kind of think one thing at a time. We're good at like deciding on a project, raising the money, getting it done, and moving on to the next. So this is where we are right now.
Great.
Awesome. Whatever we can do to support, I'm
Right.
in favor. I'll make a motion to waive pavilion fees and parking fees.
Second?
Thank you.
All in f-
wait,
all-
sorry, jump the gun. I'm sorry.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay, thank you.
None
Yeah,
opposed.
I will make one little plug to anybody who's watching as well, that if, you know, we still need donations. We have 100,000 to go. So by all means, feel free to send donations. Go to our website.
And I'm
Thank you.
assuming that you will accept pledges as well as?
Yes, pledges are acceptable under the terms of this challenge grant. So pledges, you can send checks, you can pay it online on our website, friendsofrtp.org.
Right. Our next item is regarding Westchester Disabled on the Move and their annual meeting. They were also requesting a waiver. Deb, do you want to talk about this?
Didn't we come up with a nonprofit policy at one point?
We absolutely did.
And what is it?
It's basically half.
Half. Okay. So these people are asking for a waiver of parking fees?
Correct. They're paying the nonprofit rate.
Got it. Okay.
They're asking for a waiver on the parking fees.
All right.
And I would, if, I can get up and talk about it. I want to start by saying that the Westchester Disabled on the Move is an advocacy organization that has been working with the Wright Town Park Commission and the town of Rye for many years. In advisory, they've been giving us, as we start to develop right, we've had a policy to make the parks as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. Well, how do we do that? We've reached out to Westchester Disabled on the Move to advise us, okay, what would help? And they've provided that guidance over the years. They've also provided letters of support for every grant we've ever applied for that has an accessibility feature to it as well.
Which are almost all of them.
Which are almost all of them. In this particular case, they're also producing a video for their annual meeting and at Wright Town Park, and have offered us use of that video as well. So that's part of what is that fills up the color of this ask.
I think also, to be fair, you're talking about a population that may not be able to park elsewhere and walk down to the park.
That's absolutely true. It's also not clear, if they're expecting 60 guests, I think many of them will probably arrive by paratransit. They won't be
Correct.
driving their cars.
Correct, but there are many who
There are.
do drive their own car, but won't have the ability to park somewhere else and walk down the hill or, you know, so that's something to keep in mind. They have been, Westchester Disabled on the Move has been ardent supporters of ours, or the town of Rye. In fact, they were very involved and provided input in this building that we're sitting in right now, from day one. So they're a great organization, and I think this is more than reasonable for them to ask. And
Thank you, Lindsay. I agree 100%. May I have a motion and a second to approve the waiver?
I give you a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution authorizing, you might as well stay up there, Debbie. To explain the next one, authorizing the commission to enter into contracts with 2 companies for uniforms.
Yes, so we thought that as we've been watching the cost of our uniform spend over the last number of years has escalated, it was high time to do a request for proposals. That was done over this past early spring, late winter. We had 12 proposals. Of those, we identified the 2 companies that had the lowest responsible proposals. The analysis was line by line, item by item, which enabled us to identify 2 companies that together had the lowest prices. So our recommendation is that we sign contracts with both, which not only gives us the best possibility of the lowest spend, but also it allows us to spread out our risk. So if one company can't come through for us, which has happened in the past, we have the other one to go to.
And just FYI, in addition to the resolution, Debbie affixed an Excel chart with all of the items ordered and the bids for each of the from each of the companies, and it's quite extensive. I didn't realize there were so many companies that bid on uniforms, but Debbie and Ruby did a great job with this. And just FYI, the town of Rye also entered into a contract with these companies at our last meeting. So, any questions, comments? Motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
And this one we'll call the roll on, since we're spending money.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Next item is to award a contract for the repair of the Rye Town Park Administration Building, windows and loading dock. And that's the picture that Debbie had up on there before.
I'm looking for it. Here we go.
So this is one example of many for the very poor condition of the windows in the Tower Building. So this is a proposal. We have actually purchased the windows. The Park Commission has purchased the windows, and this is a labor contract to installation and also the purchase of the 2 doors for the loading dock in the basement that have completely failed.
And this is a local contractor.
It is.
This is
Hobart.
one of Lula Riz's companies. So, the bid was $25,391.
So it's 4 office windows, a rear cellar door, loading dock doors, and labor.
Correct.
Gosh, it's expensive.
We did an RFP, so this was the lowest responsible bidder.
They're also purchasing the loading dock doors.
They're purchasing the doors, yes. They're off-the-shelf items, so.
Is the window on the left what it will look like, or is that
No.
what it looks like now?
That's what it looks like now.
What will it look like?
It will look like the windows that are installed in the bathhouse now. Same model. Yes. Yeah.
It needs to get done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an issue.
This fits in with your project perfectly.
Where is this? Is this part of the tower building?
That's Russ's office,
Which is in the bathhouse?
tower
No, it's in
building.
the tower
Tower
building.
building.
This is
Okay.
all tower building, all tower building.
I just don't know
That
where
is
they.
that's the park ranger captain and the assistant park director's office.
With the garbage bag over the window.
They're the
Mhm.
forefront, they're the forefront facing windows on the tower building on the ground floor. Two have been boarded up, they've been removed and boarded up, so you can see, and the other ones are no longer functioning, venting windows to our offices that leak and do not seal in the wintertime.
I thought for some reason the administrative offices had been moved into the bathhouse. Am I totally confused?
That's part of the renovation plan.
Okay,
when that happens.
Got it.
That's
And
part
even
of-
when they do move, we still will need functioning windows.
Yeah,
And the doors that they don't show pictures of, the loading dock doors, is a set of double doors which have failed completely. They've been repaired, they've just covered up and repaired over years. And the other one is the basement door, which none of you will ever go in, but it is falling apart, including the whole frame. It has to be completely reframed and resupported, all right? You can check that.
Yeah.
No,
In answer to your question, Emily, when the permit office will be moved is when we do the bathhouse interior.
This really can't wait.
Yeah. Looks like it hasn't been able to wait for a long time.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Debbie, please call the roll.
Yes. Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. The next item is a discussion regarding the proposed security camera upgrade. And we have attached, we are not acting on this evening. We have attached estimates. And I think, is Vic going to present on this?
Yes. There he is.
We had 3 companies come down to Wright Town
First of all,
Park.
why do we need this?
Okay, well, at the best, the camera system at Wright Town Park is poor, at the best. Doesn't cover much area, as well as, what do we have, 4 working cameras? Oh, 2 functioning cameras. With everything that's been going on over the last, we'll say, 2 years, it would be nice to be secure. So we had 3 companies come in. Rybrook Security at $13,700, Simon Security Systems at $21,401, and Alarm Specialists at $27,548.13. Now, after reading everything and going through each company's, what they're giving us, I recommend Simon Security at $21,401 because they give us more bang for the buck.
Best value.
Best value. They give us the best value. they were including a monitor, neither other ones were including a monitor. They're gonna put as many PoE switches as necessary. In case you don't know what a PoE switch is a network switch that transmits both data and electrical power through Ethernet cables to compatible devices such as IP cameras, iPhones, regular phones, wireless access points, using power over Ethernet standard. It eliminates the need for separate power cables, outlets, and simplifies installation and reduces costs. So they're willing to put as many as we need. Rybrook Security is giving us one. Alarm Specialist is making us do it. Yeah, so, they're also mounting on a utility pole, which none of the others would do, a camera station with 2 license plate readers at our exit, which is very important. So their whole proposal was more explicit than the others.
Could you explain the importance of the license plate readers?
Yes, to give you an idea, I'll use Crawford Park as an example. We had a robbery in our parking lot, and we're able to see the car that robbed another person of $6,000. We got their license plate as they went out Crawford Park, and we're able to find them at their house.
Not we, but the police.
The police, yes. So it is important to get the license plates. If something happens, yes, you might get the car make, model, color, but there's lots of those. There's only one license plate.
Will the cameras just be in the parking lot, or will they be in the entrance, like in front of the tower building as
Diana? Ask your question, Papa.
Okay. Sorry, I was just curious, will the cameras be just in the parking lot or in front of the tower building too, or elsewhere?
Right, there's proposed 12 cameras covering the promenade, the ticket booth, the front of the tower building, from the ticket booth on Dearborn, plus the parking lot. And in front of the bathhouse also.
We've had incidents in the park that were not captured on camera.
Right.
I think we're all aware of some of them, and through some good fortune of our employees and other good Samaritans, we were able to thwart some issues. But I think that, we've been talking about enhancing the security, and what we've had there now is just everything is falling apart. It's, yeah. So, yeah, you want to, Russ, I was going to ask you you can elaborate on other things.
Beyond all that, I mean, we haven't had a robbery. We'd have a number of assaults over the last couple of years, and the question always comes, and it comes from the Rice City Police Department when they respond, and they have responded, and they said, okay, share with us the video. We don't have any video because we have absolutely zero coverage. The only place that we have coverage is an obsolete camera that kind of can cover part of the parking lot. It's mounted on the garage. Now, in the interim, we've also created new spaces that absolutely need security coverage. The new bathrooms that we have down in the tunnel. So we have this vestibule down there. We're not putting bathrooms in the cameras in the bathrooms, but we have this vestibule area that cannot be seen by anybody because it's below ground level and it's completely surrounded. All right, since we're gonna have all genders and all people, going in and out of that tunnel, because it's a men's room, but it's also a family bathroom and people that need assistance. We don't know what could happen down there. Right, we have to be aware of this all the time. Secondly, we have absolutely no coverage on the pathway from Dearborn. Well, anywhere on the pathway, and no coverage, and we've had incidents in the main bathroom building, with people doing untoward things or being accused of entering rooms and being, and confronting people, all right? We've never had any coverage there. We've never had any coverage on the promenade. We don't have any protection virtually anywhere.
With this, with the Simon Security Systems proposal, is there like a maintenance with this or any kind of warranty or any sort of service?
There is a warranty, there is an extra fee if we purchase, let me see, remember what it was?
No, I forgot what it is.
I have it here.
I don't think we need it right away.
Yeah, no.
Or like support, I mean, it seems like they train us on how to use these. It seems complicated to me. Maybe it's not.
How many of you have home security systems? How many have Ring doorbell cameras? How many of you have Simply Safe
It's sort of
systems
like
in your
this.
home? It's that level
Okay.
of simplicity.
There is a license that goes along with it, and it's $13.33 a month. You get a basic license, which is free and allows limited cloud access. Cameras, of course, can be accessed on our phones, iPads. So, yeah, optional annual service plan agreement available based on final installation and system size.
Right.
So, if you, everybody's concerned with the area of coverage, and rightfully so. So, I know that you're not necessarily, you folks are not necessarily as familiar with the park as Vic and I are, and maybe some other people. But if you're, in your head, you can draw a circle starting at the, where the south booth is, south entrance booth. On Dearborn, okay? Go up Dearborn to the parking lot exit. Go in the exit. Go all the way, go all the way through the parking lot. Go up onto the path and then go around the far way, around in front of the bathhouse and down to middle booth, all right? And then back along the promenade to the south booth where we started. That's how much coverage we're gonna have.
And inside the tunnel.
And the tunnel, yes.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great place to start. And if we need more later, we could talk about that. But
It's all expandable,
but
yes.
right? In addition to, we're gonna have our drone, right, Russ?
Yes.
Good.
Another question. So I see three beds came back, and it's gonna be kind of hard for me to choose the more expensive and the cheapest one. So my question will be, it's a government, that's the way we operate, right? This is the reason why we bid out. It's like, do you can't just go and get a price? So there's a big difference from $13,000 to $21,000. And I hear your comments. And those three companies, they had a proposal to bid on. I mean, the same description. It was given to three of them. It was different. That's the only reason. I don't know. It seems like if something is missing. It's a big difference. But like I say again, this is just me. I mean, I've been in the government, and we always. It's a reason why we do bid on. And if we're gonna go with hiring, from now on, we should bet on, so we know we can just pay whatever we want. That's just me.
No, actually, Louis makes a point, because I was thinking about this.
It's a big difference.
I was thinking about this issue as well. And I didn't see this until the other day myself. What we need to do with this is the companies did not bid on the same set of specifications. So they're each proposing a different system, if you will. So what we need to do, I think, and if anybody disagrees with me, let me know, is get a price, if they can be matched, for the system that we prefer with all the equipment. And if it can't be done,
I'm gonna mince words here just a little bit. It's in my head, it's not the system. It's what it offers, okay? So we bid this out, or we put out, the spec was, we need this area of coverage, including the vestibule deck, the newly created vestibule deck. This is what we need. How can you provide this with,
Right. So-
you know, how can you provide this, all right? And the lowest bidder did not meet those
well,
requirements.
that's what I was at. So basically, what you're saying is that we got 3 bids, and the low bidder did not meet the specification that you requested.
That's correct.
So we only have 2 valid bids, and you picked the lowest of the 2 valid bids. Am I correct?
That's correct. Well, that's a little more accurate, yes.
That's different.
It is.
Yeah.
Because again, you know,
No, I
you're
understand.
going out to security companies and say, this guy uses, you know,
We have
this guy
rejected-
uses Ford, this guy uses
Sure.
GM, you know.
We
this guy-
have
Absolutely,
rejected
I understand.
low bids before when they're not responsive to the bid.
Best
Okay.
value.
Yeah, as Debbie said at the beginning, best value. Okay, very good. We are not voting on this tonight. Unless it's brought, we will have a resolution for the next meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, guys. Now we're up to Emily's favorite subject. First, we'll start with the dog permit issue.
So with regard to the off-leash dog permits, which have been administered by the city of Rye since, I believe 2015. If I'm off, it's not by much. What I was talking about with the Rye City Manager for quite a while at a low level is that the town of Rye would be willing to pick up that responsibility. And we agreed that that is what we would set up. Our clerks have been in touch, and the town of Rye has now set up basically a system with our new website. We have a sign-up sheet. So we've gone through the logistics of setting up the off-leash dog permitting, and we're ready to take it on behalf of Rye Town Park.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, the city administered the permit because the city authorized the off-leash hours in the Rye City Code around that time. And that was sort of just what happened, I guess. And it makes sense based on how things have evolved over time. The city of Rye is no longer involved in enforcement unless there's a call to Rye City Police of the off-leash hours. And I think it's a great idea. I think, Josh, I don't know, so the fees would then go to the Rye Town Park Commission, which I also think makes sense since they're running the off-leash hours and maintaining the park. But yeah, just curious to hear what the City of Rye's official position is on this one.
Well, Debbie's been speaking with the city clerk and with the interim city manager.
Yeah, I guess I mean the city council. I hope they'd be supportive. It seems like something that doesn't make sense, but I'm curious. I'm looking at Josh.
Josh is not commenting.
I have no idea, Emily, what the city council will think. I was aware that, I don't think I'm coming through properly.
We can hear you.
We can hear you fine.
Okay. For some reason, my video has gone rogue. Yeah, I was aware of the idea of having the city essentially saying that the park could regulate the hours.
Yeah, that's
I was
the,
not aware of the idea of transferring permit fees and I don't know if that goes with the permitting function as well. That seems to have more bureaucratic complexity to it than I was aware of, and I'll be very happy to hear city staff's view.
yeah, I think just for clarification to you, Josh, and anybody else, my proposal relates to the off-leash hours extension, and this is something that that Debbie and her team have been working with, and that I became aware of when we spoke last night about it. I do think it makes sense, but I do think the city council of the city of Rye is gonna have to weigh in on this.
Um,
I'm just curious, what is the fee for off-leash dogs, number one? And number two, is it, well, can you increase it so that we make more money? But also, what is the enforcement? Because I've never seen anybody ever check a dog to see if they're actually have a little medallion. My dog used to get one. I don't let him go off leash anymore, but like no one ever checks. So we just need to make sure that that's actually enforced, right? What's the plan for that?
The park rangers are responsible for the being on patrol during off-leash dog hours. All right, so the question number one is, what's the fee? It's currently $30 per dog, and we would propose.
Per year.
A year, right?
Per year.
Correct. $30 per dog per year. We'll keep it the same. If we're gonna take on this process, we're not gonna start changing things right off the bat. We're gonna keep things pretty steady.
And also,
And-
let me just interject, the fee, even though it's gonna be administered by the town of Rye, the money will go to the park commission.
Correct. So, one of the things that will, come along with our issuing the off-leash dog permits is we will now have a list of the permit holders. Our clerk will be ordering special dog tags for the off-leash dog permits, the dogs. So that will be able to be checked.
Yeah, I mean, and I would venture to guess that the number of permit holders has declined over time as enforcement has changed.
I don't know that the Rye City Police Department has really ever enforced that, maybe the first year.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, but they're not in the park to do that. They have other things to do.
Right.
So Emily, the subject you wanted to raise was the off-leash policy, which we changed a couple of meetings ago, and you raised the issue via email chain that we're part of, that the Rice City Council should possibly take some action to specifically grant the Park Commission the ability to set the off-leash hours. And just for the edification of people who are not aware of the issue, a couple of meetings ago, our attorney advised that the hours of the Park Commission off-leash differed from those authorized by the City Council. So that's the issue that we're talking about. And right now, obviously, unless the City Council acts, there will be no change. My personal position, and I did have a conversation with Josh about this earlier today, is that if the City Council, in its wisdom, decided to act, my suggestion would be simply that, in setting the ordinance for the city of Rye, it just simply say, except for Rye Town Park, and then that would accomplish the purpose. as opposed to a positive saying that the Rytown Park can. That's my personal position. It is up to Josh as the mayor of the city of Rye and the city council to take the appropriate action.
Yeah, I think probably the Corporation Council for the City of Rye will need to weigh in, because the way that the ordinance is currently drafted, dogs are not allowed to be off leash within the City of Rye, and then there was an exception for Rytown Park, and Debbie and I were talking about how Rytown Park is the only area in the City of Rye where dogs are ever allowed off leash. So anyway, yeah, I don't care how it is formulated, but I think my goal is for the City of Rye ordinance to acknowledge that the Rytown Park Commission will set off-leash hours at Rytown Park. And that gives us flexibility to, I think it supports Debbie's idea of the Rytown Park taking over the permitting. I think it allows the park to have, control if, God forbid, it gets really bad and they want to shut it down completely. We couldn't do that right now under the current ordinance in the City of Rye, because the City of Rye authorizes it from 6 to 9 every day. So anyway, I just think it's something.
Well, what it does, what you're getting at without actually saying it, it eliminates a potential conflict with policies of Rytown Park Commission
Absolutely.
and the City of Rye.
And that is exactly.
And that's why we change the hours, is to be in, so that the commission and the city were in conformity with the hours.
Right. Yep. So I guess the reason I raised this over email is because I was trying to get consensus amongst the commission members that I approached the City of Rye in order to ask them to consider.
You certainly have the right to do that as a Rye resident, forgetting about the commission.
Yeah, I think it would be weird though, as a commissioner, to do that without getting everybody's support here.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talk to the mayor, he's right up there.
I will talk to him, and I'll keep everybody posted.
Approach.
What?
I said approach.
Approach.
Approach, please, approach.
I'll be there. When's your next meeting?
Tomorrow night.
Oh, not tomorrow. Tomorrow night, George Hurd is Shrek in Shrek Junior, 5th grade play at Milton School. So the following meeting, I'll be there.
I'd rather go to the play.
That would be a good choice.
Yeah.
All right. The next item is not an item. We have the management report that's there. The only thing that I would like to point out, the regrading of the beach has been completed. What's not in the report, I believe that the mats are being put down. Either now, they're down, or they're going to be soon.
Yes.
And the Con Edison is Con Edison finished now?
Yes.
Con Edison, which replaced a lot of gas pipes, is now complete, and I haven't been there since, so I would like to see if they've reinstalled the asphalt correctly, especially around the entrance to the bathhouse. So, okay. Who said?
I said you're always welcome to come back.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that, Russ. Thank you. Any comments from the commissioners before we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in
I almost said
favor?
Amen.
Well, we have our meeting on May 31st, our community conversation and other things. And Lindsay made a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.